Of course, yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Alright, so second half we joined by Mokali, aka I'm exposing government names.
Yeah, man.
Introduce yourself.
I am Boshali, like you said,
Yeah.
aka Kyoto Indie. Yeah, man, I work very closely with the homie right here. Yeah.
And what do you do on the channel?
Okay, so like there's a timeline, obviously, of like the work we've done, but in general, I've done most of the motion graphics for a lot of the stuff that's on the Anarchadium channel.
Yeah.
And I've made most of the music as well that's on the channel. So my role really is to help where I can with whatever I can in terms of the content produced on the channel. Yeah.
So like what's the process of you choosing the music on the channel? Is it just someone that you're pumping at the moment, or do you just go through a process of
like in terms of like choosing music that's out there to put on the
like the indie artists that you
put
on the channel?
Okay, I'm glad you actually asked that. So the plan was from the get-go to try put on up and coming artists, or artists who really had something to offer that weren't getting the recognition they deserved, you know. And it's always stuff that both Minzy and I like. So the process is pretty simple. Like it's whatever we're bumping at the moment, or whatever just came out, or even if it's not what just came out, but what's out that's really dope that no one seems to know about. And the whole idea was because, especially with like Microwave Boys, because it gets so many views, we thought it was like the perfect platform to kind of give or shine a light on all these dope artists that we personally feel like, yo man, these dudes are dope, but like not necessarily are out there like that. So the plan was always to leverage that platform that gets so many views to benefit those artists. Yeah.
So niggas shouldn't hit the DMs.
You know what? We're not even. I mean, it's not even like that. Like they're more than welcome to. You know, many have, funny enough, and we've actually used their stuff as well on the. So it's not like something that we don't necessarily encourage, but because we don't get that much mail or DM or whatever, most of the time it's stuff that we source ourselves. Like for example, with the Microwave Boys, some of the artists that have been put on were suggested by Sipo, for example, you know. So at the end of the day, it's a collaborative effort. It's just that most of the time it lands on myself and Minty. But yeah, man, it's they're more than welcome to hit us up, you know.
One of the Microwave Boys episodes was about, I think one of the most recent ones was support culture in SA.
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest complaints was that people holler, or even in the comments or in Twitter, they'd be like, yo, you're trying to get that broke niggas match, and then that doesn't really translate into sales. Like, would match work in South Africa, given like that lag from popular shows, Microwave Boys or broke niggas, but still people are not buying merch?
Man, I think the idea of merch, especially in like in SA, in like street culture, because the internet is so young, I feel like the idea of getting merch out there is still also a relatively new thing. Like I do think merch can succeed. I think merch can get to a place where, you know, if you fuck with this, you definitely rock it, you know. I just think that a lot of the things that we're going through in street culture and in pop culture in South Africa is still relatively new. Like a lot of it is still new. We were just having this conversation the other day that, yo, it's crazy how many how many young YouTube channels are popping up now. That's dope. Like, if we were to go back 5, 8 years ago, if we were to go back to when Minzy was starting out, for example, there weren't a lot of them out there, and the idea was always to kind of join that space because I guess Menzi had the foresight, knowing that it's bound to be something amazing, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like all of these things are connected, and merch is like a frontier that's yet to be really like something regular, and I think it's getting there. Right now, like you said, a lot of it doesn't translate into sales, and that's okay, you know. For now, I mean, we're still building the brand as it is. So while we're building the brand, we're learning the pitfalls, we're learning what to do, what not to do. So it's okay. We're slowly getting there. You know, we've seen with other brands or with other merch that it can get to a place where the support is really there. We just have to be persistent and really put in the work and put out quality content as much as we can.
Also, I think with YouTube, there's originality matter.
Yeah.
The thing is, you see like these challenges or stuff like that everyone does.
Yeah.
So it's a thing of, does originality really matter on that platform? Because you're going to come up with something, someone else is going to do it.
It's tricky,
man.
man.
Just going to do their own version of it.
It's crazy. A few years ago, there was this concept of, everything is a remix.
Yeah.
Like, yes, originality matters because it stands to place you apart from the rest. But at the same time, I've seen situations where something could be borrowed, something could be, kind of used as a reference, but then ends up being way better. You know what I mean? So I think, yes, originality matters. I think authenticity is important, yes. But at the same time, I think we should recognize that we live in an age where so much is happening, so much. And because of that, there will be situations where we've seen something before. It doesn't necessarily mean that it can't exist in the same space. At this, for example, this is like the perfect example to me. We could create a show like right now that borrows a lot from a show that's popular in the US.
Yeah.
But if we could flip it and add a South African element that is relevant to us, that right there is like you're tapping into a pocket that's like very, very unique at that point.
Yeah.
And because not a lot of it exists, because not a lot of it exists from a South African perspective, that makes it incredible. I think I think we should try to explore and work through as much as we can and learn from all the things that we borrow from and see, because we stand to create a lot more great content that ends up being quite original in the long run, I think. Yeah.
Okay. I think it was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Microwave Broke Niggas released what is actually one of my favorite intros. I think the one in the parking lot, the smoking, the editing, it's incredible.
That's all Menzi, by the way.
It's you.
15K.
Yeah. That's all
And
Menzi.
then a couple of months later, some rappers did that shit.
You know what? It's not even that deep. Like,
Wait, what is the question?
My question is, how pissed were you guys?
Oh.
Because like legit, there was the entire concept. They didn't change shit. Because I watched the video. Like recently this week, I watched their video and I watched yours. Didn't change shit.
do you wanna?
Yeah, well, I was very pissed. I was very annoyed, but because I think what annoyed me the most is because we aren't like official. We weren't really official creative people, but we created a very creative concept.
Yeah.
We were just like chilling, trying to mess around, seeing what works. Wasn't planned, and like it meant a lot to create that. So when somebody did it and kind of like took it, it was a bit annoying. But what was more annoying was I think it was maybe like a lack of acknowledgement in some sense. I think that's what annoyed us the most. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of stealing ideas, and I personally felt like that was a stolen idea. I don't know. You know, sometimes people do the same thing, and you can see that, hey, they were just in the same train of thought.
Yeah.
But they didn't really take it. Sometimes you can see when people weren't intentionally trying to take something, you can see that they were just thinking the same thing. But you can see when something was just taken, and I think it was taken personally. You know, as much as when it happened, they were obviously acting like they don't know what we're talking about, which I expected. So I think I was upset, but I think the way I approached it for me was okay. I think I approached the situation the right way, because I could have gone on Twitter and they probably would have acted like they don't know who I was.
Yeah.
I could have confronted them in person, probably they would have acted like they don't know who I was. I already knew the way they'd react. So I was just like, let me just take my one and their version, and you guys can decide what is what, because I felt like it was stolen. And yeah, I just wanted to confront the issue. For me, it was just confronting the issue so that they're aware that if you do stuff like that, someone's going to confront you. I wanted to keep quiet and be like, let me let it slide, but I'm like, maybe they felt like it was okay to do that. Maybe they felt like they had a higher following, so nobody would really know who we were, so they can just take it and do it, because people do that all the time. They go to people with less followers, take their ideas, elevate their ideas, become huge from them, and then act like they don't know who these guys are. It happens all the time. So I was just like, I had to confront it and get it out there.
Yeah.